and welcome to Sweet Blessings, the Anna L. Brothers show and podcast, where we inspire, encourage, and empower you to live a fulfilling and blessed lifestyle. I'm Anna. I am your host. I'm a retired school teacher, an author, an educational consultant, a jury consultant, and health consultant, and I'm also a certified cake instructor. So I bring to you a wealth of knowledge and experience to our conversation. Each week and in each episode, we dive into topics that enrich our lives, from educational and personal development to health and wellness, and of course, the art of jury. And I do this by bringing in special speakers and doing workshops, and even just giving out knowledge to help us all live a fulfilling and blessed lifestyle. So I'm just asking you to join me as we explore inspiring stories, expert insights, and practical advice to help us live that blessed and fulfilling lifestyle. So thank you again for tuning in into Sweet Blessings, where every conversation is a treasure. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm doing a series on blessed and still becoming. And so tonight the series is blessed but still setting boundaries. And I know that I have spoken on this topic before, but it's a very important topic. And so I felt like I needed to elaborate a little bit more on it. And so we're going to take a brief commercial, and then we are going to come back and we're going to delve into that topic of blessed but still setting boundaries.
One, two, three. Quiero separarme de ti, ni siquiera un momento. No quiero perder el tiempo.
Okay, we are back. We are back. And I'm Anna. I'm your host of Sweet Blessings, the Anna L. Brothers Show and Podcast, where we inspire, we encourage, and we empower you to live a fulfilling and blessed lifestyle. And so, my episode tonight, episode 3, Blessed But Still Beginning series, and this one is called But Still Learning Boundaries. So I'm just saying, welcome back. We're going to continue our series, Blessed But Still Becoming, and today's conversation is one many people struggle with quietly, okay? Including myself, okay? Blessed but still learning boundaries. Because loving people really is easy, y'all. But protecting your peace while loving people, that takes growth. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, I think I have a few comments coming in here. Someone is saying hello. I want to make sure I always acknowledge those people who are, supporting me during my show. So thank you so much, and hello to you, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us this evening. Okay. Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Get started. You know, I have a presentation that I brought up, that I made, but also I have um, I have what I call setting boundaries, okay? And that's very difficult. Now, the reason that I thought I should go over this, because I found that people have problems with this, including myself. I have always had problems with this, setting boundaries. And so this is one of the things that my granddaughter has told me repeatedly, that I don't know how to say no. So we're going to look at that a little bit this evening. So let me bring up my presentation. Blessed but still creating boundaries, because that's basically what we basically want to do, is to still create those boundaries, for ourselves. And for a long time, many of us were taught that being kind meant always saying yes. All right. This is just the introduction on what I just told you before, because loving people is easy, but protecting your peace while loving people, that takes growth. It really takes growth for us to do that. So, kind of give you a little bit about the episode that we're going to be discussing this evening is, and I just said it, for a long time, many of us were taught that being kind meant always saying yes. And I'm guilty of this as well. You say yes to requests when people ask you things. You say yes to responsibilities. You say yes to expectations. You say yes to things that God never asked you to. But boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about keeping yourself healthy enough to love well. I'm going to repeat those two because it's important that you know that. It took me a long time to learn that. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about keeping yourself healthy enough to love well. And that's what this episode is basically about. So, I thought it was time for me to do a few personal reflections. I can't do personal reflections for you. That's something that you would have to do on your own. But these are some of the personal reflections that I have had. There was a time when I thought saying no meant I was selfish. I felt guilty. I felt guilty about saying no. Sometimes I still feel that way. Sometimes I still feel that way about saying no. But I'm better at saying no than I was in the past. So I kept giving this is me. I kept giving my time, my energy, my attention, even when I was exhausted. Have you done that? Or do you do that? Ask yourself that. Because this little bullet point here, I think that I still do. I still do this. But now I try to give my time, my energy, and my attention to things, but I still feel like sometimes I'm exhausted. And I'll give you an example. I am on a committee on the Small Business Association. And they had an event. And it was a breakfast. It was to honor some of the entrepreneurs, small business entrepreneurs in the south suburban area of where, I live in the Midwest. I live in the Midwest. And I'm on that committee, and at first we met for a little while, and then we met every week up until the event. And I had so many things on my plate, and that took a lot out of me to to do that. So the event was this morning, and it was early morning. The event started at 7:30. So by me being on the committee, I needed to be there before 7:30. But it was a beautiful event. But I'm going to tell you that when I got home, I had to take a nap because I was exhausted. Seriously, I was exhausted. So you can be exhausted, just by giving your time. And that's something that I was doing that I loved. I loved doing. But I was exhausted. I had to come home and take a nap. And so what happened is eventually I realized something important. You cannot pour from a constantly empty cup and call it service. You just can't do that. So I pick and choose what I want to do because like I say, I'm older in age. When you're younger in age, you can bounce, 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 bounce. I don't know. I'm not good at telling jokes or repeating jokes, but I did hear, and it was on. I don't know what it was on Facebook, TikTok, or whatever, and the person, it was a comedian, and he was talking about bouncing back. When you're young, you could just, you have an accident or whatever, you could just bounce back. You know what I'm saying? You could just bounce back. No problem, just an accident, just bounce back. He said, but when you get older, it's different. So he says, I saw my friend and I asked him, he was all crunched over, was in a cast all on the side. And so, I asked him, I asked him what happened. And he said, oh, I yawned so hard that it broke my rib cage and all of that. And I said, it's almost about that way if you're a senior, y'all. If you're young, I know it's some young people that watch this too, but if you're young and, and all of those things, you bounce back. As you get older, you just don't bounce back like you used to bounce back. So, God, I'm going to tell you this, God never asked us to sacrifice our peace to prove our love. We don't have to prove our love. He loves us unconditionally. So, learning boundaries didn't make me less caring. It made me more whole. Because as I learned these boundaries, and I'm going to tell you right now, you don't learn boundaries right away. I really think that you get better with the boundaries as you get older. because you require wisdom. And hopefully you learn from those other mistakes that you have made, like in the past. So it makes you a better person, in the future. So anyway, we're going to stop right here and we're going to take another brief commercial. And then when we come back, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the faith insight, because it's important that you know how this kind of relates to the Bible as well. We'll be right back.
Here's why you need to tune in right now. With CTR Media Network, you can transform your knowledge into a fully produced TV show. Imagine your content streaming on platforms like Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV, reaching over 350 million households in 140 countries. We take care of everything, from managing your ready-to-go content to global distribution. And it's not just any content, it's edutainment, a perfect blend of education and entertainment that keeps viewers coming back for more. You'll join a vibrant community of thought leaders, podcasters, and educators, all sharing a passion for impactful content and global reach. Plus, with our app available on Google Play and the App Store, your show will be accessible to millions more, ready to shine on the global stage. Let's get you started. Schedule a 15-minute call with us today and turn your idea into a TV sensation. Reply to this video by saying, "I want to learn more." Don't wait, your audience is out there waiting.
Welcome back. I'm Anna. I am the host of Sweet Blessings, the Anna L. Brothers Show and Podcast. And this evening, my episode is on bless, but still setting boundaries. And as we went to commercial break, I told you when we came back, we're going to look at the faith insight, how this relates to the Bible. And so we're going to look at Proverbs 4, verse 23, which says, above all else, guard your heart. Got everything you do. With everything, I think it says with everything that you do. So there might be a typo there. You do flow, because everything flows. Everything you do flows from it. Okay, so you want to guard your heart. I don't know where I got that, what verse or what Bible I got that out of. It might be King James. I don't know. But I want you to understand that guarding your heart is not unkind. It's a biblical wisdom. It's biblical. Even Jesus rested. And I've said this many times because I've talked about this before, where in the Bible it tells you to rest. And Jesus rests. Even at the beginning of the world, when in Genesis, on the seventh day, they rest. And if you notice, a lot of people still practice that. They still practice that on the seventh day, they rest. And you know what else? Sometimes Jesus stepped away from the crowds, if you remember in the Bible. Not only he stepped away, but there are others, his disciples and some of his previous followers before, they all stepped away from the crowds. That's a form of resting. And I'm going to tell you right now, even Jesus said no. And so I feel like this, if the Savior of the world needed boundaries, we do too. We do too. If the Savior of the world needed boundaries, we do too. Don't forget that. Set your boundaries. Don't be afraid to. I don't understand this comment here, but this is, Moses had one man, one vote. Does your church? No, my whole church votes. We have a democracy at my church. So, because the church is the people. And the community. That, to me, that's what I feel. And that's my opinion, because you know what? I don't want to be, because there are so many different types of churches out here. And, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I did a workshop on the different types of religions. And believe me, there are a lot of them. So I'm just telling you the type of religion that I believe, or that I think that it should be on this situation. So this is just looking at it from a biblical standpoint, as you look at it through the Bible. Now, I want to ask you all, do you all still have like becoming moments? Because I do. Okay. And I want to tell you some of the things that I have learned, because remember what I said, this is a learning process, and you should never ever stop learning. Okay. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that I learned, and then we're going to take another commercial, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit more. So these are some of the things, and you see if they resonate with you. Okay, let's see if they resonate with you. Here's what I'm still learning this. I'm learning that not now can be loving. Not now can be loving. So when you're saying that, you really are not telling them no. You're just saying, well, not now. Okay? But it might be no later. Or it might be yes, but not now. And we need to say more and more and more of that. The next one, oh my God. I'm learning that rest is a responsibility. Rest. How many times? Oh, sometimes I think, now when you're young, you rest all the time. But I think that from college days on, I have just been rush. Just rush. Okay? Because sometimes I would have to stay up late to study, and even, when I was working on my master's, I would skip things so that I could complete my assignments and things like that. Then I was working, and I just felt like, but now I don't mind resting. Because now I realize, I learned that rest is responsibility, because rest keeps you healthy. So I find the time to rest sometimes. Like I told you, I came home today and I rest. So because that makes me feel a little bit vibrant. I think I've always been a rester, but I think I rest longer now than I rest before. No, because I can remember coming home from work and laying down for maybe 5 or 15 minutes and getting up feeling refreshed. And that's a form of resting. But now that I'm older, I don't do that 15, 20 minutes. It might be 1 hour, 1/2 hour, maybe 2 hours. But that's okay. That's okay. Evidently, I must have needed it in order for me to do that. Not all of them are like that. And then there are times when I feel like I've been sleeping all night and I've only been sleeping 20 minutes. So, it works both ways. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. And I don't know, but maybe you all have felt these things too. I'm just telling you, these are some of my still becoming moments, okay? I'm also learning that boundaries protect your purpose, whatever your purpose is. When you set those boundaries, it protects your purpose. And then the last thing is, I'm learning that peace is not something I find, it's something I steward. You can't find peace. You got to steward peace. And so I'm going to take that brief commercial now, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to talk about guided reflection, because you all know I am very heavy on reflections and looking at things and trying, to figure out how would you go about doing this, how is your mindset on certain things. And so we're going to take a commercial, and then when we come back, we're going to look at guided reflections. I think this is it. I'm not sure yet. Oh, I just want to make sure I got I'm giving y'all the right commercial. Oh, dear God. I think this is it. Quick and to the point. All right, Anna's lifestyle. Let's talk a little bit about that before we move on to the next thing. I do have a website, you all, and Anna's Lifestyle LLC is my website. And so what I did was I kind of put all of my things that I was doing, my hobbies, my businesses, my podcast show, all of those things are there up under my website. So if you go to my website, which I have right there down there at the bottom of the screen, you'll find all of those things. And I also have like a hobby section. It's a work in progress, you all. And I'm just beginning it. But you will find those things there. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can reach me. This is my email, info@annaslifestylellc.com. And you can reach me there. Maybe perhaps you might want to advertise or sponsor or even do a commercial, maybe be a guest on my show. So you can email me at info lifestyle LLC or Sweet Blessings, ctrmedia.com, Sweet Blessings. Okay? So I just wanted to point that out. And I do want to, I'm taking this little time now to plug my thing. Plug me. I always forget to ask people to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's important, not just to my YouTube channel, but all my social media platforms. But I'm gonna, I said YouTube. This is my YouTube. I also have a Facebook as well. This is my Facebook. And on my Facebook, I do lives. That's where I do my jewelry. And my podcast is also streamed on Facebook. I have two. I have my regular profile as well as a page for my podcast. So it is streamed there as well on those pages. So if you're interested in any of those things, I think I've told you everything. If you're on Facebook, you can support me by giving stars. That is their way of showing support there. And I do believe that is all of my announcements for this evening for that. And so we're going to go right back into the presentation. I'm losing my voice. We're going to go right back into the presentation of guided reflection. So I only have 2 questions for you this evening on the guided reflection. So, I always tell people sit back and think, pause and think, okay? Where is God inviting me to create space so I can breathe again? That's a heavy question. Where is God inviting me to create space so I can breathe again? Oh, baby, I can think of maybe 10 answers for that one. Seriously, 10 answers. About 10 answers for that. And so when you come up with a thing like that where you got all of these answers or all of these things, you got to prioritize. So, what I do is sometimes I just list everything down. Just list it down. And then I go back and I look at that list and I say, which one is the most important? What are my top 5? Rank them. And you're going to find that you're going to be switching them out, doing all of these things. But eventually you're going to come up with your top 5, and that's what you want to work on. Once you reach that, you can add some more to it, I think. I just think that might be the route to go with that question. If you have multiple things. Let's look at the other question, because it's interesting too. What boundaries would protect my peace during this season? What boundaries would protect my peace during this season? Well, that is an interesting question. I have multiples for that as well. I do. I have multiple answers for that. So whenever I have something where I have multiple answers or things like that, I always, like I said, I always try to prioritize it. You know what I'm saying? And then I look at it. Um, I look at it that way. And I just want you to remember that boundaries don't block love. They guide it. They guide it. Now, before I leave, I'm going to leave you with what I call is a few little closing blessings. And after the closing blessings, we're going to take another brief commercial, and then I'm going to come back and kind of summarize it a little bit for you. But before you leave this evening, I think that you need to have a few closing blessings. So if you are just learning, or if you are learning about boundaries, just remember, you are not selfish. You are not unkind. You are growing. And you know what? Sometimes growth sounds like a gentle, faithful no. Let's take that commercial. And then we'll be right back. Oh, you're back. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Soul Lady Wigs is one of my affiliates um, that I have, and I'm going to put on a wig. I got a new wig out. And I'm going to wear, I love their wigs, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. I love them. They're very quality. They're expensive. I'm not going to lie to you. They are expensive. But I always believe that you pay for quality. And even in clothes. So I assume it is the same with wigs because I have clothes that I bought, oh God, years and years ago, and they are still good today. So when you invest in quality things, just remember they last a long time. And there is another one that I want. I'm going to purchase that one because I want it, and it's so versatile. But I do wear them. I love them. Um, right now, I'm just letting it breathe a little bit because I need it. Sometimes I sweat. Now, this is a comfortable night. I'm not sweating, but sometimes the the lights that I have, they they bother me a little bit. So that's why. Okay. Um, but let's go back. I just want to say thank you for watching me this evening. I am so eternally uh, grateful for that. I always tell people that um, I cannot make it without you. And I do have to tell you this big, 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 big announcement, y'all. I'm part of a CTR Media Network, and we're ranked. It's quite a few of us. I'm going to say it might be over 50 of us, and I ranked number 10. My podcast ranked number 10, and I always just want to say that this podcast would not be able to make it if it was not for my listeners. So I wanted to make sure that I thank you. It doesn't matter whether you listen here or you listen on Facebook or YouTube or Spotify or Apple. It doesn't matter. Okay, I just want to say thank you for all of your support that you have given me to push us up to be number 10. So I also want to say, just a moment. I also want to say that, remember, blessed doesn't mean saying yes to everything. It means honoring what God has placed inside of you. I want you to let your light shine with wisdom and peace. And I'm hoping that some kind of way this episode has inspired you. I'm hoping that in some kind of way this episode has encouraged you. And I'm hoping in some kind of way that this episode has empowered you to live that fulfilling and blessed lifestyle. And before we leave, I don't want you to forget about the 3 L's. Because the 3 L's are so important. Okay? L number 1 is to live. You want to make sure you live your life to the fullest. L number 2 is to laugh. Don't forget to laugh, because laughter makes you feel good. But please laugh at your own mistakes, because you know you make them. Okay? And it's funny. You know it's funny. You know it's funny when you make you. I have to laugh at myself sometimes. You know it's funny. And then the last one is the love. So I want you to make sure that you love with all of your heart, but make sure that you love yourself, because self-love is very important. Remember that. So I want you all to stay blessed, and I will see you in the next episode.